So, welcome to Spirit Talks, your monthly portal to spiritual growth, personal development, and metaphysical revelations. We are so happy that you have found us. And I am Debbie Adams, and I'm here with my co host, Shannon Gornell. And also, we have invited a guest, and our guest is Howard Reynolds. He has had decades of healing, spiritual, metaphysical, shamanic practices and training. And so we are so delighted that he will be able to share with us his wealth of information and wisdom. So I just will turn the floor over to you in case you want to say hello to everyone. Shannon?
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you for saying hello. And we are just going to jump right in. So I will ask you questions, Howard, and then you can take it in any direction that you feel, and perhaps something more will be inspired, and you can just use this as a touchstone or a touch point for you to begin to share with us. So again, I want to say Howard and I have had some experiences together in when was it? The 2000s. Yes, when we were
I was in
traveling.
Phoenix from 1996 to 2006, and I think a large part of that time, you and I were travel buddies and spiritual partners, and had some amazing times together.
Yes, we did. We got to drive to St. George, Utah through incredible country, sometimes in the middle of the night. And so, yeah, you can imagine the mystical shamanic experiences that we had while driving. And I really value our Hopi trips. We took a couple trips to Hopi land in the Three Mesas, and that is just a treasure always in my memory too. So
Yes.
good to see you again, Howard.
It's
And
wonderful to see you, Debbie.
I want to ask you, because I consider what you do, I don't know, the words that come to my mind is like galactic acupuncture. And I know you've had traditional training, etc. So will you just share with us a little bit about like what you experiencing when you do acupuncture and what happens for you when you're working with the human biology and energetic system? Thank you.
Yeah, well, let me start first of all to put a little context behind it. I was trained in traditional acupuncture through the school in Columbia, Maryland, and supervised by Dr. Worsley in England, clinical work. And so the 5-element acupuncture training was the oldest, most widely practiced system of acupuncture. There's many systems beside the Chinese or Japanese, Korean, and it's, people try to define acupuncture, and it's so vast, the depth and breadth of it, and so many different systems. So the system I was trained in is 5-element acupuncture. And I was invited into that in 1979 when I had a dislocated shoulder when I was living in San Diego. And acupuncture was the modality that assisted me in healing that chronic dislocated shoulder. It was over many years it was dislocated. And so about 8 years later, that's when I took the 3 years and got the traditional acupuncture training. After that, I just was inspired to follow different systems in acupuncture. And one of them was with Dr. Mikio Sankey when I lived in Phoenix, Arizona. He was a practitioner of esoteric acupuncture. And so the esoteric is very different than most traditional acupuncture approaches because it works with patterns to put pyramids in the body and interlock pyramids. So when that occurs, what happens is you're inviting that person's energy to move into multidimensional experiences so they can open to their inner bodies, their higher bodies of light. And so that's a kind of a strong aspect of some of the work that I do. I also do etheric acupuncture, so I can do acupuncture long distance. So those are the three, the etheric, esoteric, and the traditional acupuncture that I've had opportunities to be trained in and exposed to.
Oh, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you mind? I
No,
love
absolutely.
esoteric.
Anytime.
I love your description of the pyramids. And I just wondered how it went because, working with pyramids and matrices in my own healing, with the Merkaba field, with the entire, like it is so multidimensional, and it is how we experience our interdimensional aspects or beings. So can you just share a little bit more? Because it's an exciting topic, and I think people want to hear more about that.
Sure. So what you mentioned about Merkaba, that actually is two pyramids interlocking, which means you've got a six-pointed star. And once you interlock these two pyramids, what occurs is that the frequencies and energies then go multidimensionally. And so when you put those patterns in, you can interlock two pyramids, you can do another interlocking of two more, to the point where a person then begins to experience just a bigger field, a bigger energetic field, and more of their own self-extensions internally. So the Merkaba, I work with the Merkaba a lot in my own home for my own personal meditations as well. Yeah.
May I share that we just did a session last week, and to experience it is amazing, because he will share with me the pyramids that he's doing so I can envision them. And then after the session, not only am I feeling it on a multidimensional level, but I visualize those pyramids and also the colors that he will place within the pyramids. And so I can carry that vision as well as the multidimensional experience that I'm, having throughout, however long it lasts, throughout a couple of days and assimilating and everything. So it's really magical to experience, especially on a healing level.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah. Well, part of the work you and I did, Debbie, when we went down to the Yucatan and worked with Ombudsman and the Mayans, was the kind of the initiatory movement into pyramidal energies. And whenever we started working that way, there was a wonderful invitation, because the Mayan shaman that we worked with, his name was Ombudsman, and he would catch me off guard sometimes, and he would say, "Howard, remember your galactic heritage," he would say. And that would immediately kind of bring me into these inner experiences of being a bigger multidimensional aspect of who I thought I was. So those experiences, I guess it was about 7 or 8 years back and forth to the Yucatan, really shifted my perception to live bigger, because most human beings live kind of small in these smaller perspectives. So it was a great fulcrum into larger experiences and more high frequency experiences of myself. Yeah. So and you and I had that, I don't know whether you remember or not, we had that wonderful experience at the base of Uxmal, the pyramid at Uxmal. We were just lying there, and these energies came into both of us at that time. And it was kind of an experience of how to harmonize the divine feminine, the divine masculine. And that was my experience. I'm not exactly sure what your experience was, although I know. Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to share. It was like 45 minutes, and I sat at the base of it, and I felt drugged. There was no way I could keep my eyes opened. It was like this, I just had to lay down, which I've been back there, and now you can't even sit there. It's probably because of this hour. We just had to lay down right on the structure, and I was out. that was when I realized the pyramids are stepping stones out into other galaxies.
Yeah.
And that it's very easy to fly there. It was also my first experience with crystal skulls where they came to me and
Mhm.
where I saw them. And then, yes, it was profound, the masculine, feminine. And I don't think I even shared with you half of what happened, but it was really profound for
Yeah.
me. And we did not get to see the rest of the site. I have no idea if it was 45 minutes or 2 hours. Everybody came back and that was
Yeah.
it. We
Wow.
Mhm.
were, yeah, and I
We
love,
we were in very expanded consciousness. It was
yes,
you know, it was
yes.
like an LSD trip. It was like a natural LSD trip.
It was a very inspired.
Yeah.
And one of the other things about that temple is the trees that are opposite it. They were in such beautiful relationship with the pyramid
Mm.
that I just really,
Hmm.
the resonance between them and the love was so profound. There is so much that I feel gifted to have been exposed to through that.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a kind of a prelude into our invitation into connecting with the earth and the importance of Gaia at this time and our union with her, as well as our expansiveness, you know, our galactic consciousness. So we're, you know, as below, so above, as above, so below. So we're in this kind of, here's a human, and we're kind of going like this. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We're becoming
So,
new. Would you agree that we're becoming a new human species? No more Homo sapien?
absolutely. I think we're moving from the old human being, the more the carbon-based human being, into the crystalline human, or you might call them a quantum being.
Mhm.
So we're really moving more out into the spaciousness and into the union of universal consciousness and all that is. And at the same time, we have to stay grounded here because we got one foot here on this earth. It's important that we um, stay anchored and stay centered with it. Yeah.
Integrated. Mhm.
Integrated. Yeah, that's the word.
Yes.
Integrated. Yes.
I have a little secret that I have found, and I use with some of my clients, and is it okay to share it?
Absolutely.
So I have found it when you are so galactic and really a healer and a spiritual being here and privy to so much that's going on energetically and with the ascension process, that I will have grounded myself in my earth chakra with the already ascended Mother Earth, 24th dimensional light field or 12th dimensional. I usually start with 12. And then
Mhm.
because then I'm not like just grounding into her core and experiencing all the upheaval and unrest and the other aspects that are part of that. For myself, it helped me to become much more willing to be here.
Yeah.
To be. So I just share that information willingly for anyone out there who might resonate with it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that really don't want to be here
Hmm.
because of what's going on the planet. And at the same time, I think there is a place within ourselves that we know we had a moment of agreement to be
Hmm.
here. And I think that moment of agreement is a strong invitation to who we are and why we're here. And so it's, you know, just essential that we process that resistance and allow ourselves to be here in a place of joy and compassion and purpose. And the
Hmm.
more we know ourselves, as you and I have talked about these various ways of being present to ourselves, the more we know ourselves, the more we can stay grounded and be here and be committed and dedicated to that which we agreed to
Hmm.
before we actually came in and took on a body.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that we talked before about like galactic homes and galaxies that we feel aligned with. And do you have one that you feel more aligned with that you feel like sharing or talking about or?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like Orion is my base, and I've worked with various individuals that have come in to want to understand more of their star families. And so there's, as you know, certain energetics and vibrations that when you unify with Orion or Sirius or the Pleiades or wherever, even Andromeda, the other galaxy that's closest to us, there's kind of an inner resonance. Oh, this feels like home. And so I include Orion meditation. It's a litany about 20 minutes before I go to bed, and I really unify with the Orion masters. Um, just different ways of connecting in to that star family and those galactic sisters and brothers. That's on Orion. So that's a piece of my preparation before I go to bed, because as Dr. Wayne Dyer said so eloquently, the last 10 minutes of your day before you go into dreamland are the most important. So to give that time, sacred time. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that reminder, and thank you for sharing that.
Sure, absolutely.
Shannon, do you have anything you want to say about that? Because I know you're somewhat of a crystalline galactic sister, and
Well, Howard and I have done sessions around it, and I think we decided that Orion was kind of my home base with a little Pleiadian energy. So we've done a lot of work around that and meditation and
Yeah.
gone into the void and visited. So it was a beautiful experience to be able to do those meditations with him and, be in that energy and feel safe and connected and, open to be able to enjoy the experience and really on a deeper spiritual level. So I'm blessed for the work we've done with that. And because, it's like when you feel like you're of another world in the stars and until you have the opportunity to work with somebody and to share that, it can be scary and you can feel lost. So it's nice to be able to have that connection and be able to be open and explore those, experiences at a deeper level.
yeah, thank you. I spontaneously was sitting in meditation in the morning, and I suddenly just saw like this huge, felt like purple blue angel being. I felt like from the Pleiades, and just come through a wormhole into fetus me, and just shortly before birth or sometime, and I was like, oh, like I felt, thank you. Thank you, like for that. And so
Yeah.
I've never really gotten into the structure teachings of all this. I really like the mystical inner revelations and aspect to it. I like when it kind of teaches me or shows me.
Yeah, I do feel a strong connection with the Pleiades as well. We went to that workshop together in Melbourne with the Lemuria, and that was a deep workshop. I really enjoyed that, and I remember having an experience that was a little scary. Luckily, I was with a group of people that were there to be able to support me. I kind of was in that fetal position, and I had two women come up to me and they were like, "Are you okay? Can we talk afterwards? Can I work through this?" Because it was, I think I slept one day for like 12 hours. It was crazy. Yeah. But it's, it's beautiful to be able to travel there though, because it does feel wherever your home base is, it feels like home. It just feels so good. And it's nice to be able to travel the distance and work in that space. Which Howard and I do during our meditation. I always know it's going to be filled with lots of multi-dimensional journeys. Great.
It's wonderful. Yeah. So, Howard, let's ask you, because, like, how many decades have you spent sharing healing and, in this way? Like, what so much that you've learned, I'm sure, having your hands on very many different people and souls and experiencing, like what do you want to say anything about like the human energetics or the new human energetics or, biology or anything like,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think I first started, maybe the first 6 years was more from a psychodynamic perspective, because I got my master's in counseling psychology. And so I did, individual, um, family, and group therapy for about 6 years. And then I dovetailed into, after I got into meditation school out in California, I started doing more meditation healing work. So over the years, it just kind of progressed with the different experiences I had. What you mentioned a little earlier about the crystal skulls, I think that was also like a major experience for me. Now, our friend Star Johnson, she had Ku crystal skull with her all the time, and we worked with the crystal skulls when we were with the Mayans. But I had an experience with Joanne Parks. She's I guess you would call the keeper of Max, the crystal skull Max in Sedona, that what Shannon was referring to about connecting into our galactic identities. You would have a half an hour with Max being in a room, and after about the first 10 minutes, I heard clear as I'm just speaking to you, this voice from Max saying, "It's been a long time, old friend." And it was like this deep, at the core of my being, realizing that I am a galactic being. I have been many different star systems and universes. It was just this opening of my cosmic heart in that experience. And I think crystal skull work is important work. It's not necessary, but it's important work. And it helps us to get more in touch with our own crystalline nature as we're moving more into being a quantum being, instead of a human being. It's almost like we have to forget after a while being human, all these self-identifications and ways we defined ourselves through story and myth. Like I was a really good athlete and I can go on. But it's like releasing all of them and inviting ourselves out into the greater being that we are. And that's a dissolution of the ego, the human ego, and the opening of the larger universal consciousness. And with that comes an identification of who we are, why we're here, and it comes with great humility and great service too. So, yeah. So I don't know. I kind of went off on a little tangent there with your question, but I'm just
good.
bringing in what I'm inspired to share.
I agree with you 100% because I feel that most really true healers have a humility and a humbleness. And I think that is essential.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think once we experience, like I'm a wounded healer archetype is what I relate to. And just that, through my own life, all the wounds from, whatever whatever source, as I've healed myself, then I'm the medicine for that. And so those people, appear. So whether that's childhood abuse, domestic violence, addiction, like just as I've healed myself and my human self and the family dynamic I was born into, then it's nice to know that you're the medicine for that, and that service to be like, oh, there's a better way, there's something different, and that desire to see people break free on, maybe this might be a good question, Howard, as we get, we're ageless and timeless. I know that. But as we come up in decades in the human, thing, what I've noticed is that, or what I've returned to is that I have to practice acceptance. Accepting people exactly for where they are, whatever addiction, whatever, and in my family. And some of this is painful to me, as you can see, but I've just had to return to acceptance,
Yeah.
like I have a different path and a different way, and I need to let go and just be with a person wherever they're at and whatever choices they make. And a dear friend just recently passed, and I watched her make choices that involved addiction and things like that. And it just, letting her go the way that she needed to experience life, and even though it felt like there was a different way or a new possibility, and I saw her reach it, sometimes, she kind of always just seemed to fall back into that place, in life that we can call where, we rely more on substances and things like that. So God
Yeah.
bless her. And so it's just been acceptance, even though you feel like you have the blueprint and you can, like you reaching your hand down, want to just pull this sister up into this place, like respecting and honoring the journey she's on and the choices she's making.
Yeah. That's very powerful. Yeah, absolutely. It
So
assists me in not being judging
mhm,
that person or that situation. And that's their spiritual sacred place that they're in, no matter what it looks like,
yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
so that's something you feel like that's developed through, coming up in decades, like
Yeah,
a better ability of acceptance, non-judgment, and being with. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I just was doing some work with some people in Europe, and they had a situation where the daughter came in with severe disabilities and lived to her 20s, and a lot of grief and a lot of sadness. This is her anniversary coming up. Her anniversary actually was just a couple of days ago of her death. And it was a work that allowed me to unify with this being soul and to listen to what she had to say, to share with them the importance of the celebration of a life. And this being was a very advanced spiritual being, although her physical body was very deformed, almost hideous to look at. And
Mhm,
so to invite them into the celebration and her true legacy, in which she's now doing a lot of compassionate work with others with disabilities and people that have traumas from war. This is her work now, um,
mhm,
discarnate, you know,
mhm,
So, what we see out there, whether it's physically, psychodynamically, spiritually, that isn't exactly where we're experiencing life. That is their sacred place. And I think as you are a healer, and I am a healer, that's so essential to get grounded into that, because only that's going to assist them in
mhm,
moving forward.
mhm.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
best we can do is have compassion and allow them to be however they need to be. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah. I've watched a lot of things unravel and shift and change tremendously just through being with it without the intention for change or trend, just being with it like an ego
yeah.
state, just being with it. And the
Yeah.
next thing you know, in that quantum way of being or
Hmm.
interdimensional, whatever, it just begins to have its own undoing or rearranging, or spaciousness comes in or whatever, and it's miraculous
Yeah.
to.
It's almost like saying just getting ourselves out of the way,
Mhm,
relaxing and allowing, because whatever you want to call the quantum field or Holy Spirit already has that healing that's there waiting for that other person. Yeah.
mhm,
Yeah.
yeah,
Just
like
because
a.
I know for years, working, whether acupuncture or body work, I do certain form of body work called zero balancing. um, I spend so much time and energy in me doing it, me doing it, instead of like just backing up and letting it come through and letting things translate out, from that unified field of
Mhm.
light and love. So I think that is an essential point for people that are helping others.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Witnessing the magic.
Yes, witnessing. Yep, being the observer and witnessing it.
Yeah.
I call
Witnessing
it
the magic.
dispassionate,
Yeah. That's why
dispassionate. Go ahead, honey.
no, go ahead. Dispassionate what?
Compassion.
Dispassionate compassion.
Yeah, it's kind of like being the observer and the witness. Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah. It's a very powerful, profound, and expansive healing state. Yeah, like when people say, what do you do? Um, I have found myself, like, you can say acupuncture, I could say spiritual
yeah,
healing, we could put all these words, but I'm like, sometimes I'm like, what do you want? Let's do it. Like, uh,
hmm
yeah, so it's always a interesting question, like, what do you do? And at what level are you going to answer that question? At what level of consciousness can they hear the
yeah.
answer? Yeah, yeah,
Actually, I do nothing, right?
yeah, yeah. Just
Yeah,
be.
yeah. The deepest silence I ever experienced with the Yaqui medicine man in the Carlos Castaneda books. I interned with him for about almost 2.5 years. And he had the deepest silence I've ever been around.
Mm,
His depth of his silence and union with the larger life, uh, it was almost intimidating at that time in my life. Yeah.
mm,
And so just to listen from that deep place of non-judgment is healing in itself.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the silence is amazing, amazing. More and more we've been speaking about that, Kimberly, Shannon, and I.
Oh,
And
wonderful.
yeah, and about the silence, and like she really, the power in that, in a group, and how much transmissions come through, not in, we're just being with the silence, but the silence, does its own thing with us. Yeah.
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 And the power of it, I think we experienced that the last spirit talks. In some ways, we were talking about it and suddenly it happened.
It did, and it was powerful.
And everybody who has watched that has like commented to us, oh my God, I could feel that so much. And it was silence doing that, saying, okay, enough about describing. Here I am.
Yeah, that's just be. And it was almost like this, from
Yeah.
my experience, it was so, it was just like the state of groundedness that I just became. But then just immediately, like you said, I was going this way into the void, and it was powerful. And
Yeah.
then it was a magical experience.
And it was interesting knowing that we're a spirit talks and somebody might be listening or watching, Howard. So every now and then I'd feel like I need to say something like, we're still here.
It was.
Reminded me of when we were at the Temple of Ushma. Every now and then I was like, I just thought, I'm going so far out. I've never been this far out. And
Yeah.
I wanted Howard to know. So I was like, I'm going way far out. Like, in case you need to find me or pull me back or something, every
Right,
now and then
right.
it was just like
Yeah.
a touch point again, like, oh my God, this is like
Yeah.
taking me over. And so, yeah.
It's powerful. And I know that, I first started experiencing that with Howard, in our meditation
Mhm.
sessions. Like I didn't realize, before I started working with Howard, when I was not, in my awakening, where I would feel like I had these moments, but couldn't explain it. I just thought it was a deep sleep. However, it was during the afternoon time. And then when I started doing my meditations with Howard, I was like, wow, this is that experience.
Mhm.
It's powerful.
Beautiful. Do you want to share anything else about Howard? And you've been working with him for a number of years, Shannon?
Sorry.
Oh,
We had to
Wait
close the
wrong
drape.
question.
Some workers are on the back, going to be working on my deck today. So I'm hoping we don't, they just got here. So we had to
Oh, good.
close the drapes because
Yeah.
we're looking out at the back.
we were looking out at beautiful nature and then some humans appeared,
Yeah,
so.
so they're ready to start working here. So,
Yeah, all right.
yeah.
Well, I think we have about 10 minutes left,
Okay.
and that we could, time is not what's important. What we're doing is what's important during it. And so, yeah, is there anything, Shannon, that you want to share or say about Howard Reynolds?
Well, as we were just talking about where you said, how do you, as a healer, what can a person handle? How do you introduce yourself? So I'll just talk briefly on how I met Howard. And I was actually going to a urologist for some bladder issues that were, classified as interstitial cystitis, which basically inflammation, heat. I understand it all now. But at the time, I was doing these treatments, very invasive treatments. And that's when I started realizing that my body was, not, I didn't feel like everybody else. I couldn't handle these synthetic medications but I didn't know how to put words to it. So the urologist, I didn't realize Howard had been, when he came back to Cumberland, was working there doing acupuncture at the office for a short period of time.
About 2 years.
Yeah. And then he came to his home, but I didn't know him at the time. So I was doing these bladder treatments. Then I was doing these balloon treatments, right? So they're going up into your blood, really invasive. So the urologist came to me and said, I don't think these treatments are working for you. This isn't the kind of treatment you need. And I need you to connect with Howard Reynolds. And at that point in time, I just, was acupuncture. And we'll just say that was the beginning of my spiritual awakening. And I'm so blessed that I found him. It's like, you find your shaman in the ruffle, and I did not realize that. And it was over time that, he started opening up and sharing. And then the light bulb went off and I was like, oh, okay, this is my purpose in life. This is my journey. And I'm just so grateful and still am. I mean, we still work together and I'm just so grateful to be able to share these experiences and be with him. And that's how I met you, same thing, in Arizona, having a total crisis moment. And Howard's like, you got to go see Debbie. And that aligned me with you. So I'm grateful for both of you. And, but I do get that, and I'm starting to experience how to put that, opening up my own studio and how do I put myself out there and using the right terms to, it's not that it's a scary thing, but you just have to meet the person where they are. So that's something that I'm working through. You guys were talking about that I feel like I'm working through those stages myself and where I am as a healer and, how to connect with others and, and just let it be. And, those who are meant to be with, come to you will. So, and I've learned all these modalities and techniques and, through both of you. So much love to both of you. And I appreciate you both so much.
Yeah, I think you're phenomenal, Shannon. And I just love you
Thank
too. Yeah. Yeah. So Howard, is there anything that you want to share with us, like right now or anything that's coming through? Oh, I know I was going to ask you one question about like what you do to stay aligned, or I know you have a process where you are checking in with yourself about whether something is for you or not. And do you want to share anything that might help other people, like you shared about before you go to bed at night, raise your consciousness, like the things that you do that keep you, in alignment or help you, discernment in the moment?
Yeah. I think over the years, I've always kind of resonated to a teacher, a spiritual mentor, and I've used different opportunities over the years to integrate different experiences and modalities. And the point that you made about the silence, like right now, a lot of my work is in the silence and moving into the quantum field and into the void. And our buddy Bill Bauman, I'm in that program. There's three groups, there's four in each group, and I'm one of those groups. We meet the second Friday of every month for 3 hours. And then I do some individual work with him, one-on-one. So the importance of being still and quiet and allowing ourselves to open to the experiences of being in that silence, being in the void. And so that's kind of a central piece of what I'm doing right now. I still do inner light meditation, Agni Yoga meditation, and various forms of mantras and sound healing. Still do those when I'm inspired to, or somebody, a client. A lot of times my work is with clients and what they're asking for. And then that allows me to go into that union and that vibration as well. So I would say, if people are just starting out in meditation, think about just quieting yourself, just being in the silence. Use your breath, just go within, because everything that you need and want are within you, within the silence of your soul, of your higher self. So,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, Howard, if people are interested in experiencing you or connecting with you, are you taking new clients? What is there? People can just contact me and I can let you know. Is there?
That would be fine. I do a lot of healing work over the phone now as well. So I have clients all over the country, basically, and I have a private practice here. So yeah, I'm people come and they go, so I'm in the flow of new people coming. Other people receive what they came to receive and they leave. So it's always with me kind of an open-ended flowing in and out.
And you're in Cumberland, Maryland, is that correct? Howard Reynolds. Okay.
About 2 hours west of Washington and Baltimore, and 2 hours southeast of Pittsburgh.
And I will say this, we from time to time will do phone sessions, and I'm 5 minutes from Howard. And I'll tell you, the phone sessions can sometimes even be more powerful than an in-person session, even with the acupuncture or meditation, where we're just sitting in silence, and the healing that you can receive from just being able to be in your own space and, you know, receive that energy is nice. So.
Yeah, I have found phone sessions to not be prohibitory in any way. Really. It's almost easier in a way.
We just talked about that.
It
is. And that's what Bill does. It's like there's no video Zoom sessions. It's all audio. Because he doesn't even want the distractions of looking at the other person's face or features. You know, you keep it in the energetics. I understand. I get that, you know. Very much. Well, I am so glad that you said yes and that you could join us and create the space in your time, Shannon and Howard, you know, so we could sail this out into the world, and hopefully it will touch many other individuals along the way. So I'm just so grateful to have shared with you, and see you again makes me super happy. Same here. It's beautiful seeing you again, and the angel that came in through you. I've known a long time that you're an angel. I've known that for a long time, and so and many other expressions of your big, beautiful, expansive self. So
thank
it's
you.
really happy to connect back with you and see you, my travel buddy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I adore and I love you both, and I'm so blessed to have you both in my life. So I'm winning too.
We feel that way. We feel that way for sure. Okay, well, blessings, and thank you all who are joining us, you know, at any moment or any time. These are on YouTube and they can be accessed at any time. And so I'm just so happy that you're here and that we get to connect in this beauty way, in
Yeah.
this, wondrous way. So
Yeah.
blessings to all.
Blessings.
Blessings.
Thank you.
Lots of love. Thank you.
Much love.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.